Welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind Start Sit Show, week 16 of the 2025 fantasy season. It's playoff semifinal time, and we're ready to roll. I'm your host, the Birdman, Chris Lemke. Let's get things started off with the Seahawks hosting the LA Rams this week. What a big one we've got. This is an ultimate clash in the NFC West. Big game. The winner of the NFC West, in all likelihood, should be the number 1 seed in the NFC, if not the 2 seed. The loser or second place team gets the 5 seed or the 6 seed and goes on the road in the playoffs. The Niners will have something to say about that as well, but huge matchup tonight. We've got a big week here, week 16. 8 games with over-unders over 46.5. Not as great as last week now. We had 7 games over 60 points last week, as well as the Bucs-Falcons going up to 57 points. This week, though, just 2 games with over-unders over 50. We've got that Thursday night game coming up here in just over an hour. Then 2 Saturday games. We've got the Eagles traveling to the nation's capital, taking on the Commanders. And then the Packers traveling to the Bears late Saturday night. After that, 7 early games on Sunday, 4 games set up for the late slate. And then Sunday night football, we get New England traveling to Baltimore, and then finishing things off with the Niners traveling to Indianapolis to take on Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts. So let's get things rolling here. We'll start with some injury updates. Davante Adams is inactive. He's out with that hamstring injury that he re-aggravated last week in the fourth quarter for the Rams. We've got Rashee Rice. Looks like he's going to be doubtful. I think he's still listed as questionable with the concussions. But he went into concussion protocol earlier this week, not right away. Like, he didn't go into the tent or anything during the game on Sunday, but after the game on Monday, he was suffering from some concussion-like symptoms, and so then he went into concussion protocol. And so now, being that he didn't go in until, Monday or Tuesday, it's not likely we're going to see Rashee Rice this week. So, like, a lot of sites say we don't even have him in our rankings, okay? Next up, there's Christian Watson, who's questionable with a chest and shoulder injury suffered against the Broncos when Patrick Surtain fell on him, getting an interception. Also in that matchup, Roma Dunze and Luther Burden already listed as out. T. Higgins, questionable with his concussion symptoms. We'll have to see how that develops. Mason Taylor, questionable with his neck. He sat out last week. Alvin Kamara, questionable with his knee. He'll probably be out again. Bashul Tutin, doubtful with his injuries, his ankle, probably out. Drake London, questionable with his knee. He did practice yesterday and today, and so we'll see. Drake London, somebody you definitely need to monitor. You want him in there if he's playing. Somebody just like Amon-Ra St. Brown the other week on Thursday night. You got to have London in there if he's playing for you. I mean, depending on who you have as your other options, but likely you're playing Drake London. Marvin Harrison, he's questionable with his heel. We'll see. Definitely changes the outlook on Michael Wilson, whether or not Marv is in there. So we'll see how that goes. Geno Smith is in this week. That's good news for Brock Bowers. Bad news is they're still playing the Houston Texans, so can't change that up. As for the Texans, Woody Marks listed as questionable with that ankle injury, did not practice today. Nick Chubb did practice today, so go out there, scoop up those Jawar Jordan shares, as many as you can. If he wasn't scooped up on the waiver wire in your league, he might be ready to roll this week and give you some volume touches. Whether it's Chubb, whether it's Jordan, I can't tell you who's going to lead the backfield. Probably be a split type committee, but Jawar Jordan, they play the hot hand. He was the hot hand last week. All right, now back to the Rams and Seahawks tonight. Seattle favored by 1.5, 42-point over under. We've got Adams out. That brings Colby Parkinson into play for sure, even as a flex option. Parkinson, 6 touchdowns in the last 6 games. So, I mean, Parkinson, I've got him in the top 10 at tight end this week. I know it's rainy there in Seattle, but they're used to rain in Seattle. They can play in it. Right now, as for the quarterbacks, I'm not so bullish, especially on Sam Darnold. Now, the Rams are his little shop of horrors. Not only did he throw 4 picks against them earlier this season, they had lost last year when he was with the Vikings against the Rams. Terrible game. So Sam Darnold, now JSN, you're going to have to start. But the other ancillary pieces for the Seahawks, not loving them so much. Kenneth Walker did have a good game against the Rams last time around, but coming off of 29 yards last week, not loving Kenny Walker here. We've struggled with the Kenny Walker bus all season long. I don't see a reason to now all of the sudden hop onto it here in the playoff semifinals in your league with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. I don't know that I can trust Kenny Walker. You're going to have some pretty bad options there for you to convince me that Kenneth Walker is your best route to the Super Bowl here. Okay. So again, if you've got Kenny Walker and you're considering him, let me know who your other options are there. Matthew Stafford, not so bullish on him, depending on who your other options are. For instance, I had somebody at work ask me today, Matthew Stafford or Marcus Mariota. Now, there I can see the argument for Stafford. Again, you've ridden Stafford all year long. Stay with the girl you came to the dance with here. I mean, Marcus Mariota, yes, he showed flashes of brilliance, but he's also showed flashes of why he's now a career backup quarterback. And so, shutout against the Vikings, just not great performances. And the Eagles, like, coming in hot, this defense. I don't love the Commanders this weekend. As for to finish up on the game tonight, Kyren Williams, I would be all right with. As with Blake Corum, I think that the Rams are going to lean on the run game tonight. Puka, you're obviously playing. So Puka is in, Kyren is in, and then Parkinson and Corum, if you have to, for sure, I don't mind either. As for the Seahawks, JSN's the only one that I am set on, which go figure. But everybody else for Seattle, I'm really, really scared of this week. All right, let's move along. Let's get to Saturday's action. First off, that Eagles-Commanders matchup. Eagles favored by 6.5, 44.5 over under. We've got Jaden Daniels out, Marcus Mariota in. This is their first matchup this year. They play again in 2 weeks, so the Eagles get a couple of nice matchups here. And I want to call them layups. They're divisional games, so you can't take those games for granted. The Commanders are going to try and play tough here. This is a divisional foe. But Washington here, I mean, they're 28th against the run. This is going to be the Saquon Barkley show. All right. That doesn't mean you sit A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith. They're both going to have their opportunities to have big games here. Jalen Hurts, he may only throw it 15 times, but there's going to be a couple of deep balls to his guys. And so, yeah, Dallas Goedert, you're playing as well. As for the Commanders, like Terry McLaurin, if you've got to, Deebo Samuel, I feel the same way about, but otherwise, man, it's rough. Like, I don't know. Mariota, you got to have some bad options. Now, I know in Superflex leagues, Mariota's a definite wild card, and you can convince me to start Mariota in Superflex for sure. But in one quarterback leagues, I'm not loving them. As for McLaurin and Deebo, the game script is going to be that Mariota ends up throwing it a lot. So volume wise, they should get a decent amount of targets, and I could see them scraping by there, but I don't love a huge ceiling for either of these guys this week. All right. Next up, I did want to mention too, the run game for the Commanders just bypass. I think Chris Rodriguez will be back this week, so that kind of limits JCM. Bill had a good game last week, but now with split carries and Philly defense, I'm going to avoid it if I can, for sure. Saturday night, we've got the NFC North battle. This could determine the division. We've got the Packers at the Bears. Packers favored by 1. 46.5 over under. Little excited there. I don't know if they're going to get that high this time around. It was 28-21 2 weeks ago. Packers took down the Bears as Caleb Williams threw an interception in the end zone to end it. Now, this week, Christian Watson, I think he'll end up sitting. That brings Jaden Reed into play. Now, if I got to pick one of the Packers wide receivers that I'd feel comfortable plugging in, it would be Jaden Reed. He gets the most beneficial opportunities. He gets the touches in the red zone. They manufacture touches to him. So if Watson's out, especially, they're going to try and use Jaden Reed as the playmaker there. Romeo Doubs, Tavian Wicks, Luke Musgrave, I'm all kind of iffy on. Now, Jordan Love has been playing pretty well, but we'll see. This is one of those games where who knows? I think they're really going to lean on Josh Jacobs. I know he's had the knee issue, but played through it last week. Had a nice touchdown run against the Broncos. So definitely have Josh Jacobs in there. Monitor his knee. I don't think he's going to sit. And then all of a sudden, Emmanuel Wilson becomes a big start. But just monitor that. Jordan Love, I'm sort of middle of the pack on. Oh, where do I have him? I think I've got him like 14th, somewhere around there. Yeah. So again, super flex. Yeah, he's going to be in your lineup, but one quarterback league, you probably have some other better options, possibly. Again, go ahead and ask if you're on the fence with Jordan Love. Decent game environment. Again, this one 28-21 the first time around. Now with Micah Parsons out, that you would think would help the Bears. However, now the Bears are themselves out without not just one, but two wide receivers. Rome and Luther Burden are going to sit this week. So that brings DJ Moore back into the forefront. DJ had a big week last week with 2 touchdowns. Colston Loveland also comes into play here now. So again, Colston Loveland depends which tight end you're matching up against. Like Colby Parkinson, I'd still rather start Parkinson, but maybe Loveland over some of the other tight ends a little lower. Flyer flex, you could talk me into Olamide Zaccheaus if you're needing one in a pinch. All right. As for the Bears running game, they're going to lean heavily on that. So I would have no problem. I mean, you're starting DeAndre Swift and Monungai. I'd feel pretty comfortable throwing him into the flex spot as well. On to Sunday. Sunday's actions. We've got 7 early games. We'll start with Tampa at Carolina, the big battle for the ugly NFC South division here. These guys will play each other again in 2 weeks to finish the season off. Yeah. This one, Tampa's favored by 3, 45.5 over under. Decent game environment here. Evans looked great last week coming back from the injury, just walked right into the number 1 wide receiver role again. That scares us all a little for Mekhi Buka. So if you've got a Buka, little testy there. There's a lot of receivers this week where you're in the range of like wide receiver 20 through 50, and you can throw an argument either which way for these guys. So the matchups are really important here. Carolina's got a decent pass defense. Evans historically has done well against Carolina, so I'm all in on starting Mike Evans, but the other receivers, Ibuka, Godwin, not so much. Bucky, you're playing him. He's going to get the run. I know that Sean Tucker got the goal line look last week, but at this point in the year, Bucky's top 10. He's going to get the touches. I feel comfortable starting him. Over to the Panthers side of things, Ted McMillan's going to have Jamel Dean on him, so that's going to be a tough matchup. Now, the other Bucks corner, Zion McCollum, is out, so that helps out Jalen Coker and Xavier Legette. So if you need a flyer flex, I don't mind throwing Coker or Legette in there. And then I would start Rico Dowdle over Chuba. Rico seemed to be the more of the bell cow last week. Now Chuba could surprise. I know. We'll see what their game plan is. Dave Canales probably has something up his sleeve for the Bucks, but I would lean Rico if you had to choose between the two of them. All right, next up, we've got Buffalo at Cleveland. So the Bills favored by 10.5, 42 over under here. Gross game environment here. You're starting Josh Allen, starting James Cook, and I don't know about anybody else. Quinshawn, I guess, if you've been leaning on him, that's unfortunate. I don't know if you have and you made it this far. Kind of depends on your other options at running back, but I don't know. I'm not out completely on them. The Bills have been bad against the run, so don't mind playing Judkins. All right. But everybody else, highly questionable in this matchup. All right. Next up, we've got Philly at Dallas. 2.5-point favorites. Sorry, not Philly. It's the Chargers. Chargers at Dallas. 2.5-point favorites. 49.5-point over under here. Great game environment here. Let's fire up everybody. Again, not a whole lot of great matchups this week, so that's why I'm saying this is one that has a good game environment. Herbert, Dak, play them both. I know Dak didn't have a touchdown pass last week, but Cowboys still can move the ball. We've got Marion Hampton, Javonte Williams you're playing. Kamani Vidal in a pinch if you've got to flex him, I guess. But otherwise, I'm sitting Vidal. I think that Hampton's going to keep getting more and more touches ramped up as we go on here. All your wide receivers and tight ends, though, you can play in this one. CeeDee, Pickens, Ferguson, Gadsden. The Chargers wide receivers haven't been so great, but I would play Ladd in this one. Keenan Allen, not necessarily. QJ, we'll see if he even plays. So I don't know. He seems to like to come up with weird injuries. So I don't know. But again, great game environment here. I think there'll be a lot of points. And so, again, not a whole lot of games like that this week. So this is a game where you can find players and plug them in your flex spots. All right, next up, we've got Kansas City and the Tennessee Titans. Chiefs favored by 37.5 point over under. Gardner Minshew getting the start. It's Minshew mania somehow, some way. Think they'll get the win. I don't know. It's really on Andy Reid to come up with a game plan here. I think Minshew can throw a couple touchdowns. But other than that, I don't love it. Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce should get plenty of opportunities. Rashee Rice out, very likely. So that's what we're looking at for the Chiefs. Could be a Kareem Hunt game here. Pacheco and Kareem Hunt kind of splitting the work, but Hunt's been getting the goal line work, so lean that way. As for the Titans, don't feel comfortable starting anybody, even Tony Pollard, who, yes, has hit it up the last couple of games, but I'm not trusting that at this point in the season that he's going to continue that. I'm not betting on the Titans offense. Next up, we've got a juicier one here. Cincinnati at Miami. Bengals favored by 47.5 point over under. Start your Bengals here. They're going to bounce back. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, get him in there. T. Higgins, got to monitor it, see if he's out with his concussion syndrome. If he is, then Mike Gesicki and Yoshivas come into play. As for the Dolphins, I only feel comfortable with Achane. Otherwise, Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller, we got Quinn Ewers starting. I don't know. Again, depends on your other options here. I know that Waddle's somebody you probably had plugged in, penciled into your lineups for most weeks, but with Ewers at the helm, I don't know. If any of you have watched him at Texas, you know what I mean, okay? And that's all I'm saying. Like, I don't trust Quinn Ewers at all. I understand, I get it, why they benched Tua and they're giving Ewers a shot and not playing Zach Wilson because Zach Wilson's a free agent. So they've got to see what they got in the rookie who they actually have on their roster next season. Why play Zach Wilson when he's going to be somebody else's guy next year, right? So Waddle, if you have to. Same with Waller. I know he had a big one last week, but that was completely garbage time. And I don't know that I can trust Quinn Ewers in garbage time even. Okay. But yeah, Achane, of course, you have to play Achane. Next up, we've got the New York Jets traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Saints favored by 5.5, 40.5 point over under here. Brady Cook getting the start again against Tyler Shook. We've got a rookie quarterback on rookie quarterback matchup here. Ugly game environment. You're starting Olave, starting Breece Hall, starting Juwan Johnson here. A.D. Mitchell's a decent flyer. Devon Vele's out. Other than that, I don't know. Audric Estime, I know, has been a hot pickup this week for people because of injuries everywhere. I'm only starting Estime if I have to. It's strictly a volume play there. Taysom Hill's lingering. I don't know. I mean, Estime is somebody that only if you have to are you really plugging him in to your lineups. All right. Next up, we've got another nooner, 1:00 Eastern game. Vikings at the New York Giants. Vikings favored by 43.5 point over under. This one has sneaky good game environment here. We've got a hot JJ McCarthy coming in. Who would have thought 4 weeks ago we'd be saying that? JJ McCarthy is hot. Could get you to your championship matchup versus Jackson Dart, who's still slinging it, running it. Maybe wearing a Guardian helmet this week. Who knows? But Justin Jefferson is the key. I don't know that I can trust them to start him. Like, again, it comes down to who your other options are. But Jefferson now has gone below the threshold. Like, if you've got any wide receiver who's been hot and doing anything lately, I'd feel more comfortable starting him. I mean, McCarthy and Jefferson are just going to have to work on things in the offseason. If Jefferson busts out in this one game, then call me out on it. But, you know, if you're in a deeper league where you have like 4 flex spots, then you're probably stuck starting Jefferson anyway. But I think most people who had Jefferson and had been relying on him this year probably aren't in their playoff matchup this week. You're starting Wan'Dale Robinson, starting Tyron Tracy. You can start Aaron Jones in this one. I feel comfortable about him. And then you've got Jalen Naylor and Jordan Addison as flyer flexes, I'd call them. Hawkinson, I'm kind of in and out on. I don't know. Same with Theo Johnson. So, yeah, it could be a sneaky good game environment here, though. I think this one probably leans to the over 43.5. I think both these teams, you know, the Vikings have a tricky defense. I think that I could see the Vikings getting out to the lead and then the Giants coming back and Jackson Dart lighting it up in the second half. So I think there could be a lot of points in this one. Next up, we've got the second half of Sunday's matchups. We're going to start off with Jacksonville at Denver. Big matchup here. Both teams vying. I don't know that the Jags can catch the Broncos for the number 1 seed, but the Broncos definitely trying to hang on to the 1 seed here. Denver favored by 3, 46.5 over under. Can T-Law continue this heater he is on? I am liking it. I like both T-Law and Nix in this one. I don't know that this is going to be a low-scoring game. Both of these teams have been basically outscoring their opponents. Earlier on, they had stronger defenses, but now lately they've been outscoring their opponents. I know the Jags took on the Jets last week and let them have some points in garbage time, but their offense is on a roll, right? And Denver, the last couple of weeks, they gave up points to Washington, gave up some points to the Packers. So not as scared about the Broncos defense as they were earlier in the year. So yeah, I like T-Law. I like Nix. Jacoby Myers, solid wide receiver too. BTJ is now back in play, and ETN has been smashing lately, so I am playing them. RJ Harvey, get him in. Cortland Sutton, get him in. Harvey, I know, had a little ankle thing, but he's fine, listed as healthy now. Great game environment here. I love this. This is one of my favorite matchups of the week. Next up, we've got another one that could get exciting here. Not important for the NFL playoffs, but we've got some good big fantasy names here, and that's Atlanta visiting Arizona. Atlanta favored by 3, 48-point over under. Got a great game environment here. This could get wild. We've got Bijan, Pitts, they're both in. Pitts, of course, with the monster game last week. You got to fire him up again. I mean, he's tight end 3 now on the season. Before that, though, he was top 10, okay? Before that game last week, he was still top 10 playing well. So it's not like this just came out of absolutely nowhere. Pitts was doing pretty well. And then you have Drake London, definitely playing him if he's healthy for this one. Darnell Mooney, not so much, okay? He's had his opportunities over the last couple of weeks to shine, and he has done nothing. All right. So as for the Cardinals, Jacoby Brissett for sure, he's in, and Trey McBride. Then you've got Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison. Again, if Marv is out, then we're playing Michael Wilson for sure. If Marv is in, then again, it comes down to who you've got. You're still probably playing Michael Wilson based off of his target share over the last few weeks and the fact that Brissett is going to do everything possible to throw it 50 times. So, yeah, I like them both. It's just a good game environment. I'd play them all. Michael Carter, sneaky start here. Zonovan Knight Bam Knight is out, so it's going to be basically Michael Carter in the backfield there. Should get plenty of dump offs. I don't know which team wants to actually win this game, but hopefully they just want to score, and it should be a fun one there. Another fun one we've got in the late slate, Pittsburgh at Detroit. All these late games here, 3 out of the 4 I like to go really high scoring here. Detroit favored by 7, 52-point over under. Wild game environment here. Just start everybody, okay? Like, you're starting Rodgers if you have to, Kenny Gainwell, DK Metcalf, Jalen Warren for Pittsburgh. As for the Lions, just plug them all in, get them in there. This is going to be some fireworks for sure. Next up, we've got Vegas at Houston. Ugly one here. Houston favored by 14.5, 38-point over under, 38-point over under with a 14.5 spread. Like, you know what? Vegas is projected like 11 or 12 points here. Like, that's just gross. Okay. Stroud and Nico definitely in here. As for the Texans backfield, it is a mess. We've got Woody Marks, super questionable with his ankle injury, did not practice today. So scoop up those Jawar Jordan shares if they're available, because he might get plenty of touches this week. Nick Chubb, I don't know if he's in line to handle 15 to 20 carries in a game. So it's either going to be an ugly split where they both get like 10 to 12 touches, or Jawar Jordan actually gets like 15 carries again. But Woody is not looking good. It's trending downward for Woody. We'll know more tomorrow. Friday's practice is usually the big day. We'll see if Woody gets out there on the practice field. As for the Raiders, you're going to have to probably be playing Genty and Bowers just based on volume. Now, the good thing is that Geno is back, so we don't have to deal with Kenny Pickett. But at least Geno can do some dump offs to these guys in garbage time is what I'm getting at. But it is Houston, so it could get real ugly. I just, it's really hard to bench somebody like Bowers. So I don't see it being a real option here. All right. Then we've got the Sunday Night Football, big one. New England at Baltimore. Ravens favored by 3 here with a 48-point over under. This one could get silly. Lamar is going to play. No, he's listed as questionable, but he's playing. Derrick Henry is in. Flowers and Mark Andrews more iffy, though. Okay, Flowers I feel a little more comfortable with. Mark Andrews, not so much. Isaiah Likely didn't do anything last week, but neither did Mark Andrews. And they were playing the Bengals. So that's just gross because the Bengals are terrible against tight ends. As for the Patriots, Drake May and Travion Henderson definitely in there. I'm not worried about Ramondre Stevenson. Yes, he'll get some touches. Yes, you could fly or flex him if you have to, but Hendo is the home run hitter. That's the type of player you need in your lineups in the semifinals. Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, a little iffy on those two, but for instance, I have one league where I have Hunter Henry and Mark Andrews. I'm starting Hunter Henry. I'm going with Henry. So if you've got that decision, that's the way I'm leaning. All right. Stephon Diggs. Like if I had Diggs or Flowers, I'd probably lean Flowers. Okay. But it's super close there. Diggs and Flowers, both guys that are in that wide receiver 20 to, they're on the higher side, 20 to 35-ish range. But yeah, you could do worse than either of them, Diggs or Flowers. So I'm not totally saying bench them because this could be a fun game. 48-point over under. Could it definitely hit that? And I'm excited for that one on Sunday night. Monday Night Football to end the playoff semifinals. We know that matchups are going to come down to this one for sure. I like this game environment. Niners at the Colts. Niners favored by 6, 46.5 over under. This is one where I could see the Niners building up a lead and then Phillip Rivers just dinking and dunking it, trying to build them get them back into this one. I don't know if if the Colts can ride JT to the lead in the first half. We'll see. Colts desperate for a win. Niners need the win. Both teams, this is like a playoff game. Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle, Juwan Jennings, all in for me. Jennings fighting for some salary bonuses that he's really close to, so he's definitely going to be fighting for those. JT is in. Tyler Warren is in. He had a lot of targets last week, not so efficient with them, but I like the targets. Again, Phillip Rivers, the king of the dink and dunk. So he's going to be throwing those short passes to Tyler Warren. Even makes Amir Abdullah somewhat fire flexible here. He had 5 catches for 32 yards last week. So it's ugly, but if you really have a deep league, Amir Abdullah. Yeah. Brian Robinson. I don't mind it. It's a high over under. I like it. So, all right, hit me with your start sit questions. I'm ready to roll. Excited for the game tonight. Who you got out there, Rams or Seahawks? I'm leaning Rams just because they seem to have the Seahawks, or at least Sam Darnold's number. I don't know that they can ride their running game to a victory here. Like, until I see it, I can't trust Kenny Walker or Zach Charbonnet to just carry the Seahawks to victory. It's going to end up coming down to the shoulder of Sam Darnold. And historically, that has not gone well, whether it was with the Vikings, whether it's now this year in the big moments. We got to see if he can have a big game, if he can come up with a big performance. Might happen. I'm not banking on it though. If you got Sam Darnold, this is not the matchup that you want for your playoff semifinal. I've got him super, super low. Like between him and Mariota, I don't know. Could be real ugly for either of them, right? Yeah, there's only a few quarterbacks I've got below them. I mean, I'd start Rivers over either of them, just because I think that he can dink and dunk it in the end and get a cheap touchdown or two. But yeah, that's not saying much. All right. Definitely have Cousins, Rodgers, Bryce Young, McCarthy for sure, Tyler Shook, all ahead of him. Yeah. So, we have any questions out there? No questions tonight. What's going on out there? You guys are all just set. I mean, I know I've struggled with some of my lineup decisions, and I build my teams to where, I try to build my teams to where it's easier to make these lineup decisions, so that I don't have 5 guys that I have to pick from to get one starter, right? Usually it's an easy volume play at my RB2 or RB3, like if a running back because of injury is getting all the touches, they're plugged in. Usually have a solid set of wide receivers that I know are getting volume target wise, and they're in the lineup. But this year's been a mess. It really has. You've had certain guys that I've had to plug in here and there, like Tez Johnson have plugged in here and there. You've had the rise of certain guys. Devon Bailey came out of nowhere. I think I plugged him in once or twice. So yeah, quite an interesting year. Look at the Denver wide receivers, right? We had Troy Franklin getting all those targets. Now we're back to Cortland Sutton pretty solidly being the guy. The Packers wide receivers, you had a mess there early on in the year, and then Christian Watson came back from his injury and sort of solidified himself as the wide receiver one. Then now he's hurt, and we'll see what we've got coming this Sunday. It should be that Packers Bears game. It's an island game, only game on late Saturday night, so the whole nation will get to see what the Packers can pull off without Micah Parsons. And so how much does that help Caleb Williams, even though he's without two of his top three wide receivers? The Packers are going to struggle getting after the quarterback with just their front four. Now they're going to probably have to blitz more and leave their corners out on an island, and that could be dangerous here. DJ Moore could be in for a big game if Caleb is able to get outside the pocket on those blitzes. So Caleb is sort of an exciting option this week. And Jordan Love, we'll see. Well, I mean, I'm sure their game plan will be to pound the rock with Josh Jacobs. But, should be a good, fun game. There's lots of interesting matchups. Again, though, I don't see you getting 7 games with 60 or more points, okay? These are going to be more tame, closer games. You've got Jacksonville at Denver. We've got the game tonight, Packers, Bears. Those are all big, big matchups for the top ends of the seeding in both the AFC and NFC. So interesting matchups tonight. But if none of you have any questions here, I'm going to leave it at that. And you can go ahead and throw your start-sit decisions down in the comments section. I will be checking them all weekend long. Just go ahead and throw them down there. I know this is Thursday night, so we still have a couple of days, but remember, we've got 2 games on Saturday this weekend, so make sure you have your lineup set. Make sure right now we've got about a half hour before game time. Make sure you've got any of your guys that are out. Get them out of there. Any of those guys that are questionable, I tend to lean towards putting in the guys who are actually healthy at this point, or at least using the auto sub feature, right? Make sure that you have all of your bases covered. You don't want to get screwed out of a championship matchup because of a silly lineup miscue where you're getting a 0 because of somebody. We had that goofiness with Rome Odunze last week, and if you got burned by it, I think that's unfortunately your own fault. Like, Rome hadn't done anything for a month, and all of a sudden you want to start him with a fractured foot in frigid temperatures. Like, it just didn't make any sense. Okay, like I have Rome on a few teams, but he wasn't sniffing my lineup in those, and I'm not like bragging about that or anything. I'm just saying, like, you got to think logically about this. When guys are really banged up, like, I know Rome wanted to be a warrior and get out there, but sometimes it just doesn't make any sense, and you've got to really use your head here and just be fine sitting them. Unless they're a top end elite guy, you don't have to plug them in. Plug in a healthy player. Okay, there's plenty of other options out there. It's not like the situation a couple weeks ago where we had Amon-Ra that was going in. Amon-Ra is an elite player, right? But if you've got somebody who's a lesser end player, which is what like Rome Odunze is considered now, he's in that wide receiver 20 to 50 range, right? There's plenty of other guys that you could plug in that are healthy versus starting somebody who's not. Okay. You can't replace Amon-Ra, though. Okay. You couldn't replace Puka if he was going. If Rashee Rice is fine on Sunday, you're playing him. Okay. But Christian Watson, on the other hand, he's sort of, yeah. So I think we kind of learned that with Mike Evans last week, right? Mike Evans, when he's in and it's money time at the end of the season, like he steps it up. It's just the way it is. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Bucs fan. I'm just saying it because that's what we've seen over the years, and you have to use that information wisely. All right. So anyway, I think that's all I've got here tonight. So enjoy the game tonight. Should be a great one. Throw any questions down below, and I will answer them all weekend long for you. Good luck in your matchups, and I hope to see you next week in your league's championship game. Remember, never stop working.